Hey, good morning, War Report family. It's your man Ike Jones here. Just wanted to take a minute to make sure that we showed respect to the legacy of Mike Leach. Thoughts and prayers are definitely with his family, and the college football world definitely lost a great man. So much respect to him. But today we're still gonna go ahead and do our morning drop. But I appreciate you guys coming in here with us. Let's get straight to it, man. We're gonna talk a little bit about Phil Montgomery, who is the new offensive coordinator for Auburn. And hey, man, let's drop it on him.
You are now listening to the War Report. Drop.
Once again, we are here, the morning drop. Your guy Ike Jones, War Report family, War Eagle, and good morning. Um, it's going to be offensive coordinator talk today. I guess it's fitting to talk offense on the day when we talk about losing, I guess, one of the pioneers of offensive football, one of the more pioneering minds in offensive football. We're going to be talking about Phillip Montgomery on a day when we lost Mike Leach, but I guess it's fitting or poetic. I don't know how to really even phrase that properly, but um, uh, Phil Montgomery joins the Auburn football staff as offensive coordinator. He has been himself a pioneer in a lot of ways. He's a if you guys follow the Baylor football team in those years where they had the dynamic offenses. You think about the year that RG3 won the Heisman Trophy, or you think about those Art Briles years down there in Baylor. Um, and the people who came up under that tree. Then you think about an offense that Philip Montgomery is also a big part of. He is a quarterback coach to the core. Watched a lot of film of over the last couple of days since the announcement, just talking about how he um, thinks about coaching quarterbacks and some of the drills that he goes through and workshops that he's done. So trying to familiarize myself with the guy. A lot of space and pace. When you think about space and pace, you think about those offenses again in the Big 12 that were able to put up a lot of yards, even back to the days when he was at Houston as an OC, not excuse me, an OC as a QB coach. The Case Keenum years at Houston, he was instrumental in that portion of it. So a lot of good things um, to be excited about if you are a quarterback. We've seen a lot of quarterbacks that have hit the transfer portal, and now Auburn seems like it could potentially be a destination when you think about what Coach Hugh has been able to do with quarterbacks and offenses, and now what Philip Montgomery brings to that quarterback room, and even Kent Austin when you think about him as a quality control coach and a QB coach on the analyst staff. Auburn is in prime position to now be a destination for quarterbacks. Um, so we definitely are in for, I think, a different type of offense with Philip Montgomery coming on board than what we've been used to. If you guys don't know, you are watching the Morning Drop, sponsored by Rogue Shop. The Rogue Shop is your source for all of your herbal supplement needs. Use code RAPPORT when you're going there to get 15% off, and tell them that we sent you there. Make sure you stop by our guys at Rogue Shop and get all your stuff taken care of, man. We appreciate all of the sponsors of the War Report. Another way to support us is to support our sponsors. If you're in here and you're not able to comment, it's because you're not a member of the War Report. We do limit the chat on the Morning Drop to members. So if you want to become a member, $3.99 per month is what gets you there. I will be doing some film breakdowns. I've already started getting film together on his days at Baylor and some of his Tulsa stuff. So we'll talk about Tulsa here in just a minute of Philip Montgomery. But if you want to get that film breakdown stuff, you have to be a patron. So you have to get to the $5.99 level there. But let's get to talking about Tulsa for a minute. He was the head coach of Tulsa most recently. And I think the biggest critique that Auburn fans that I've seen online have had have been about him and his days at Tulsa and the lack of success there. And I've said this, and I've been a proponent of saying this often, is that some people are better. And I don't know if Philip Montgomery will agree with this. I'd love to have him come on the show and we can talk about it. Some people are better at being a coordinator than they are at being a head coach, or maybe they just weren't ready to be a head coach at the time. I think about the example that I bring up often when I talk about this, especially in the college ranks, is Will Muschamp. I think Will Muschamp is one of the most uh, intelligent defensive minds when it comes to just getting kids prepared to do what they need to do from a defensive standpoint, but he just hasn't been able to do it as a coach. And that is, that's not saying that Will Muschamp's not a good coach. He's a quality defensive mind. Maybe he's just better at calling defenses than he is at running a program, or maybe he just needs to learn a few more things before he jumps back out there. Right. There's a lot of guys who have failed at it at one time or another, and then they've gone back into the coordinator ranks and learned a few more things. And then when they got their own program later, they've been able to be more successful. So hopefully, if Phillip Montgomery wants to be a head coach in the future, this will be a good opportunity for him to learn under a coach who seems to have the ability to put an active plan together and go and execute on that plan. And I'm talking about um, Coach Hugh Freeze here. Right now, what Hugh Freeze has been able to do in just 2 weeks, like we literally were sitting on a morning drop last week talking about, is it too quick for us to be panicking as Auburn fans in regard to the progress that we're seeing? And then just in less than a week later, we're seeing both of the coordinators are now hired, and we're in a place where we're seeing momentum in the transfer portal, momentum with recruits, and he's not even a month into his tenure. So I do think that he had a plan that he was executing. I don't know that it's important that every single hire be the most flashy hire. I talked about this before already. I like the fact that uh, he has an idea of what he wants his rooms to feel like. Who he it seems like he has very specific ideas around. I'm going to get some young, energetic guys in here to recruit, but I'm going to have some experienced guys that are going to be in here to make sure that they have the X's and O's together. And the question now is whether or not, from his introductory press conference, him hinting at the possibility of him potentially not calling plays into the future, is this going to be a guy that is willing to hand the clipboard over to on Saturdays and allow him to call the plays, and he step back and really put his all into the things that he does really well, as far as the administration of a team, being more of that CEO, and getting out there and being the recruiter, which he is a dynamic recruiter. Again, speaking of Coach Hugh Freeze. So I do think that that's going to be interesting. So again, if you think about guys who, speaking of Phillip Montgomery more specifically, who have been really good at what they do in offensive coordinator land, Phillip Montgomery is a guy who really understands the X's and O's of a game. When I look at his tape versus when I look at this, when I say his tape, I'm talking about Tulsa most recently, the tape of him at Tulsa and the tape of most recently Coach Hugh Freeze at Liberty. You do see more power run concepts in what Phillip Montgomery employs. He is kind of a running backs guy as well. So he's coached quarterbacks and running backs in his time. So he does have, I think, a little bit more of a downhill running attack attached with his spread offense. So you're going to see some of the same concepts, some of the same split zones, some of the same trap concepts from a blocking standpoint that you've seen in the shotgun and pistol formations that we had with Coach Harsin most recently. But you're not going to see any of the power eye or under shotgun type of, under center type of things in the offense, whether you're talking about Coach Hugh Freeze or you're talking about Phil Montgomery. So again, we'll get into the tape of that stuff a little bit more in the coming days as I kind of dissect what we're doing. I'll show some formation stuff when we're looking at those two and how they put offense together and just what they're doing as far as a play calling standpoint. But it is going to be largely dependent, similar to how Coach Leach does with his air raid stuff, on choice routes and option routes. I've talked to some people who are familiar with him. One of the things that when talking to some people who are familiar with Phil Montgomery, is they talk about his ties to the state of Texas. I think that's a unique thing for a coach here at Auburn, is ties to the state of Texas and the athletes in that state that we previously really didn't have anyone who knew that landscape, and conversely, who the coaches and the high school coaches and players really had name recognition of in the state. And so I think that opens us up to a different possibility as far as what we're able to do as talent acquisition in a state that has really major high school talent that's coming out of there. So hopefully Phillip Montgomery can open the door to some of those quarterbacks in the state of Texas and some of those skill players players in the state of Texas that are typically not looking at Auburn, but understand who he is as a play caller and will say to themselves, this is an offensive philosophy that I can get behind because they're used to running that style of offense. So hopefully we'll be able to see some differences in that regard as well. So again, I think it's going to be interesting to see. I did find it intriguing that the style of running plays that he would employ actually seemed to fit really well with the running style of now NFL draft declaration guy Tank Bigsby. Right, I think that the patience that Tank Bigsby shows when he's running is something that fits actually really well with the style of blocking scheme that I've seen in some of the stuff in the Tulsa film that I watched. So I do think that's interesting. And that's not to say that we don't have dynamic guys in the room. We absolutely do. We're still going to have dynamic runners in that running back room. Jarquez Hunter is an amazing back, and some of the zone scheme stuff that we saw under the Harston regime is stuff that, especially the outside zone stuff, is stuff that Jarquez Hunter runs really well, and he has good ability to find the cutback lanes on that. So he's definitely a guy that will flourish in that sort of thing. But yeah, so I appreciate you guys jumping in once again. We're right around the halfway mark. You know what we do here at the Morning Drop, man. We want to make sure that we get to your questions and comments. Again, if you're here in the chat and you haven't been able to comment, it's because you're not a member of the War Rapport. We do restrict the chat on these Morning Drop to members. So go ahead and get a membership. Jump in here in the chat and let's have a great conversation about Phillip Montgomery and the potentials that we see with the Auburn offense under him. I'm going to jump into the chat right now and see if we can grab a few comments. I see a lot of you in here this morning. If you haven't already, man, go ahead and share the video so other people can know. We've only got about another 10 minutes of this, but I do want to make sure that you share the video. Like the video. Liking a video helps us a ton in the algorithm. And then afterwards, commenting on the video, making sure you're Hey, guys. This ain't got nothing to do with Phillip Montgomery. This ain't got nothing to do with the Morning Drop. None of that. We are like somewhere around 600 and something people away from hitting 10,000 subscribers to the channel. So thank y'all so much who have been tuning in, telling people about it, getting more of the Auburn family involved in what we got. So, man, we need about 600 some people to come on in here and hit that subscribe button and engage with this content so we can get to 10,000 subscribers, man. That is a crazy space that when we started this channel, I don't know that we ever really imagined that we would get there this quickly. But we appreciate you guys in what is now year 3 of the War Rapport, getting us to 10,000 subscribers, or at least close to it at this point in time. I see a lot of you guys dropping your condolences to Mike Leach, and we definitely appreciate that. Had to take a minute to talk about that. Let's see here. See what we got here. Dun, 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 dun. Let's see here. Dun, 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 dun. A lot of Mike Leach stuff here at the beginning. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Question here from Douglas says, have we got any QB transfers yet? No transfers that have officially declared to Auburn, but we do have some rumored guys who have Auburn in their top 3 for the young man from North Carolina State. So NC State, his name is escaping me. I know I don't remember nobody's name. Somebody in the chat is going to get it for me. I think his name is Leary. Actually, I got the name. Leary from North Carolina State has us in the top 3. I looked at some of his highlight stuff. Actually went and looked at a little bit of a full game of him. I think it was against Clemson last year. And I liked what I saw from him as far as his ability to make reads. I think it's going to be interesting to see. Again, I've talked about this a little bit, the direction that they want to go with quarterback. Both Coach Hugh Freeze and what I've seen from Phillip Montgomery, surprisingly, the running aspect of the quarterback has not been the most prominent thing when you look at the history of their quarterbacks. It's really more about their ability to understand what the defense is doing, making quick decisions, and making the right read. I think it's an added bonus to have the athleticism added onto that because it gives you a different dynamic in the run game, but it's not a requirement of them to be able to do that, to run these offenses. It's really more about accuracy and decision making. So I think it's going to be interesting to see the type of quarterback that we tried out there on the field. The offense is going to be, it's about quickness. They're going to be running. Now, Phillip Montgomery is a pace guy. I think even more than what Hugh Freeze is, as far as like wanting to get up and run a hurry up type of offense. From what I saw at Tulsa, no huddle, they're just going to be going at a pace. So I think it's going to be exciting for that, from that standpoint, from Auburn fans to get back into seeing an offense that's got some pace. But the other guy that I saw, kind of getting off of the topic, I apologize, that was interesting, I think, was Coastal Carolina's quarterback declared recently, and there's a lot of speculation that there's some interest there with him. So it's going to be interesting to see what comes of that. P Pass jumps in and says that Auburn was recruiting the Mississippi State running back. There was an official offer that went out to Dylan Johnson, the running back from Mississippi State. This is going to be an offense. So speaking of Mississippi State guys, both Dylan Johnson and Ra Thomas would be familiar with the type of offense that we'd be having tried out there. It's not going to be exactly an air raid offense. There is going to be more of a dedicated run concept, as opposed to just like a run call out of a pass thing. So almost everything in the air raid is like, it's got a run involved in it that you can call at the line of scrimmage. There are dedicated run plays in the offense that Montgomery and Hugh Freeze run, more so than what you would see in an air raid. But they'd be familiar with having the when we talk about pace and space type of offenses. That's what an air raid does, and that's what you see. I would think more so along the lines of what you see. I think I saw somebody tweet this, of what you've seen from Tennessee recently, having the wide splits with the wide receivers. You're going to have a lot of 3 receiver sets being tried out there, 3 and 4 receiver sets. So something that they'd be familiar with. Haley is not a fan of under center. I actually like the under center stuff. I like the power run game stuff. I like to be able to mix it up. I specifically like it in short down and distance stuff, or in goal line situations. I don't like going out of shotgun when you only got to get a yard. I think that just invites a lot of problems when you're into those situations with potentially bad snaps. You usually eliminate the issue of the snap when you're going from under center. And then you have the option of getting a QB sneak in there if it's a short enough distance. So you give the defense a little bit something different to look at. I don't think that it's necessary to do it all the time, but I do like the change of pace with under center. I'm not wanting it to go away completely, but I'm not mad at an offense that's going to have a lot of pace and a lot of space going on with it. Let's see. Auburn dad for life. And speaking of Tank Bigsby, is glad that he went pro instead of hitting the portal. I don't even think that Tank considered hitting the portal this time. I think the offensive scheme and strategy that we are going to be trotting out this year, and the potential for a lot of new offensive line talent coming to the room to compete, is attractive for a running back to come back and try to be able to operate within that, especially when you hear Hugh Freeze talk about how he's an RPO guy, but he's going to have pro pass concepts, right? Like, that's attractive for a lot of skill players, because they're going to be seeing a lot of things, or doing a lot of things that they're going to be asked to do at the next level. So I don't think that transferring was even really an option for Tank Bigsby this year, but definitely glad to see him take advantage of his opportunity to go and be a professional, and wish him the best of luck. Let's see here. Ben Bloodworth said he joined On to Victory yesterday, doing his part. For just on the note of that, On to Victory announced a new partnership with the Baumhauers down in Auburn, to allow offensive linemen to be able to eat free down there. So definitely a good, kind of just extra thing to be able to entice offensive linemen. A lot of wings going to be getting damaged down in the Auburn area coming up here soon, getting those offensive linemen free food. So shout out to On to Victory. We've had Brett from On to Victory on this channel before, just talking about some of the things that they have going on, and looking forward to seeing the things that they're going to be doing. So yeah, offensive linemen, you heard it. Come on down to Auburn and get some chicken, man. Let's see here. Let's see. John Brannon talking about more disguise options under center. Yeah, I mean, if there was a breakdown that I think they did a really good job, and B. Will talked about this, and I think we tweeted it on the War Report. I'll have to go find it and retweet it, about what your ability to do is when you can hide the ball by you actually turning your back to the defense, and how that gives you an extra layer of deception, and making those linebackers and safeties have to think a little bit more, or take just a half a second more to think about what they're doing before they attack downhill against the run. If you're running the ball really well, you're able to do that. So your play action becomes a little bit more effective because of the hiding of the ball. Now, one of the things that guys who major in shotgun things have done to be able to give you that level of deception is the pistol formation, right? So you're going to have a shorter shotgun set, and then you're going to have the running back actually still lined up behind the quarterback, and he still will catch the ball, turn his back to the defense, and give you something where you can hide the football. There's a lot less stuff that you can run out of the pistol that is going to give you that real, true from under center, 5-yard drop and turn around, handing the ball off to a guy. But it still does allow you to do some of that stuff. But what it does from a quarterback standpoint, being in the shotgun and or pistol, is allow you to never have to take your eyes off the defense, right? So you can, if you can secure the ball here and then get your eyes up quickly, as opposed to securing the ball here and getting and turning your back and then having to come back and turn around and then identify what's going on in front of you. So you can get the ball out more quickly in those scenarios. But there's still a lot of things there's a lot of benefits to coming out of shotgun, a lot of benefits for coming under center. It's really just about kind of what you want to do from a philosophy standpoint. I was trying to get philosophically out there, and then I just kind of stumbled over it. Don't worry about it. I ain't had to tell y'all I did that. I'm just being honest this morning. Let's see. Lawrence Robinson jumps in and says, does the new scheme and talent on the O-line allow Hunter to put up tank-like numbers, Doak Walker-like numbers? I think that more carries is what's going to allow him to do that, number one. The offensive line is definitely going to be helpful. But again, we've talked about this before. Scheme can help your offensive line too. Getting the ball out more quickly and having more space to the outside, giving you more room, taking guys out of the box, or making the people who are on the back end have to think about more than just coming downhill against the run, allows for your run game to potentially have some more dynamic things. So it's really more. It is going to be about the offensive line for sure. I don't want to discount the offensive line and their impact on your ability to run the ball, but you can definitely see that how a scheme can help do that as well. And then too, and the offensive line becomes more important in scenarios where your quarterback isn't a run threat, right? When you have a run threat at quarterback, there are so many other things that the defense has to account for when you talk about, okay, we're going to lessen the numbers in the box, number one, and now someone has to be accountable for the quarterback as well. So if you can only devote 6, maybe even 7 guys to the box, depending on what the formation is to the outside, you got 5 blockers up here in the front. You've got a running back. That's 6 right there already. So if you're going to bring 6 guys in the box, who's accountable for the quarterback? It means you now have to have a safety who's accountable for him, or you're going to automatically have some sort of numbers advantage to the outside, right? So there's a lot of things that you can do to make sure that you can help yourself in a run scheme just by formation, alignment, and decision making on when you're going to run the ball and how you're going to run it against what looks you're getting. Anyway, Haley jumps in and says she can't wait to see the numbers that I got Tank on the brain apparently. Hunter does this year. I am looking forward to seeing what that young man can do. He is a dynamic athlete and he works super hard. I just want to see him not returning kicks and on kickoff duty as well, man. Make this guy a full-time running back and let him do that, and let some of the other skill players do some of that other stuff. We got 832 wide receivers on that roster. Somebody else can go back there and return kicks. That's a dynamic guy. And we got linebackers that don't see the field that much. Let them go down there and hit somebody on kick return. So hopefully we'll be able to do that sort of thing and let him just be a running back for the first time in his Auburn career. All right, man. That's it. We're going to get out of here. You know how the morning drop is. Not a whole bunch of shenanigans going on. But once again, if you are not a member of the War Report, make sure you come on board. And for the rest of the week, I'm going to be really kind of digging into, we don't do a morning drop tomorrow morning. So for the rest of the week or the next couple of days, I'm going to be digging into film, and hopefully I'll have some film for you guys coming up this week. Shout out to our sponsor, the Rogue Shop. Hit up rogueshop.com. Once again, using code REPORT to get your 15% off, and tell them the War Report sent you, man. Make sure you share this video, like the video before you get out of here. That's it, man. That's the morning drop. We are out of here. See you guys tomorrow for the midweek report. Peace.